Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I spent the weekend abusing my 2004 GMC Yukon, so come along with me as we do a damage report and clean it up and make it presentable. My name is Jeremy, this is Region Automotive, and let's get to work. Alright, to start, I'll kind of do a walk around and just show you how disgusting I made it and show you some of the damages I noticed. I apologize ahead of time for the lighting. It's a super sunny day out, and then also they're cutting the grass at my condo and there's cars driving by, so I'll try my best to mitigate the sound. But anyway, let's jump into it. So first off, I went off-roading. It's called Lost Knife Trail. And then another one we did was Margaret Lake Loop. They're pretty popular trails in southwest Alberta, off-roading trails. So it was actually my first time taking this thing there after I've done my little off-road build, and what a blast that was. I would highly recommend it for anyone who's looking to go. I'm probably going to go back, and then I think this time, considering how good the trails were, I'll try to get some footage of me off-roading and just showing the full trail. It was so much fun, but of course our good old reliable Yukon had to pay for it a little bit. Just absolutely covered and spattered in dirt and mud and clay and stuff. And then the front here, I have, or it's a replica of the rough country winch mount, and it just got filled with clay and shit there. That's so hard. So for one, I'm going to clean that out, and then also actually comment below if you guys have any solutions, but I think I might try to make a custom winch mount that mounts to the tow hooks there. And then if we go around to the rear, I dragged the hitch quite a bit. A couple times I had to back up like in like little valleys and like just absolutely pack that thing full of mud. And then that would be the departure angle, I guess, when I was going up little valleys and stuff too. So I'm going to clean that out. And then one guy I was off-roading with, he actually had an interesting little slider that you put in the hitch. I'll insert a photo here of the winch slider that he had. And the first mechanical damage that I noticed, you see it kind of, is the rear diff for whatever reason is like puking fluid. So I'm going to jack the truck up and we'll get under there and see what's going on. It appears we just have a normal diff cover diff cover gasket leak, which is weird because I replaced the cover and resealed it last summer, but maybe I didn't do it properly. I'll double check my torque specs. And I'm also wondering if there's a vent on this diff and maybe that got plugged up and created excess pressure. But in the meantime, we'll take off the diff cover and then I'll look for a plug while I'm in there. So I have the diff cover all cleaned up and I got all my gasket maker on it. I got the differential itself cleaned up, mating surface nice and clean. I couldn't find a vent, but when I was taking my bolts out, they seemed excessively loose. So I'm guessing that's why it's leaking, is the bolts were kind of backing out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is torque it up now, and I'll pick up some medium strength thread locker later on. And I'll come back and like take a bolt one by one, put thread locker on it, torque it up, and then I'll double check if there's any vents, but I don't think there is. I think it was leaking because the bolts were backing out. Now that the cover is torqued up, I'm going to remove the fill plug and fill it up. Just for fun, since I had it on the jack stands, I figured I'd throw it in gear and get it spinning just to see if the rear end's leaking. I know obviously it's not a tried and true method, but only time will tell. But for now, let's take a look if it's leaking. Looks to be good so far. Next, we're going to take the old girl for a wash. Try to get all this clay and mud and crap off everywhere. The worker at the car wash is going to hate me on this one. Okay, so next up, I'm going to go through and kind of give this thing a bit of a detail. Now that we have the exterior clean, let's get the interior clean. Yeah, I don't think I've detailed this thing since we bought it and built it 2 years ago, and there's just crap everywhere. I've taken it camping, probably slept, I don't know, I would say like close to 20 nights in this thing in the past 2 years we've had it. So I'm going to go through and just kind of give it a quick vac and clean it up for our next camping trips. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys, so I have an excuse to take this off-roading and, you know, abuse it and possibly break it in the pursuit of the viewer's interest. Definitely not mine, you know, having fun and abusing this thing. All right, now that we have the Yukon all cleaned up inside and out, let's talk about the next issue that arose when I was beating the shit out of it. The old engine light came on there. I may or may not have driven through a couple inches of water. And I may or may not have had an issue already with the electrical, with my fans. I ended up blowing a fuse on the electric fans, so that leads me to believe driving through the couple inches of water also caused the engine light to come on once I show you the code here. So the code that came up is P0332 knock sensor 2 circuit low bank 2. So first thing I'm going to do is check all my fuses, because like I said, I had my electric fan fuse blow, and if there's no blown fuses, then I'll find the wiring for this thing and check the wiring, the circuit integrity, and then the sensor itself to see what's going on. Okay, so one last check on my knock sensors here before I order the parts. So right now, I have my multimeter set on ohms on the 200,000 scale, and it's showing 99.6, so that means it's 99,600, or, you know, round up to 100,000. And I checked the spec on these knock sensors, and they are 100,000 ohms. So this is on my good one, which is bank 1, and that's, you know, pretty much within spec. So I know my bank 1 is good. And what I have set up here, I just have my negative, the negative lead to the post there, and then the positive lead, I have it on the smaller amperage plug, and that's connected. So at first, I took off that engine cover, and then there's a plug for the knock sensor harness here. And I have it connected on the left one, which is a blue wire that goes to bank 1. So now I will connect it to green wire, bank 2, which is giving us the issue, and I'll show you the value. Okay, so we're connected to the right pin here, which is the green wire, bank 2, like I said. And if I go to my ohm meter, I now have it down to the 2000 scale, and it's showing 760. So that's 760 ohms, which is way under spec. So that confirms that there's something wrong with my bank 2 sensor or the wiring. From what I've seen online, guys just ordered the kit that has both sensors in the harness. So I'm going to get that, and then we'll install it. Okay, now that we determine the knock sensor is bad with our testing with the multimeter there, I ordered up all the parts we need on Rock Auto. So Dorman had this nice kit, knock sensor kit 926084. It comes with both sensors, and then I was reading online, apparently the wiring harness can also go bad on this thing, so it came with the wiring harness, and it looked like it comes with these like updated plugs, because I was also reading apparently there's a TSB that you have to seal in the knock sensor so the water doesn't get in that little hole. So we'll again, it looks like Dorman gave us this nice little plug, and then we'll probably just seal it up with some silicone. And then we have the intake manifold gasket, and then I got the Valley Pan gasket as well since we're in there. And then shout out to my buddy Hui for lending me the fuel line disconnect tool. I know he watches some of my videos, so we'll see if he's watching this one in comments below. with the intake manifold off, I thought that was an aftermarket design by Dorman, and I searched up a couple of videos. It looks like that's stock, which is weird because, again, the TSB says to like fill up the valley, to like make like a bridge of silicone to seal that in, but it seems like those caps are stock, and Dorman obviously copied the stock design. But regardless, I'll put a dab of silicone under there to seal it up. So yeah, I'll just pop that off, get my knock sensors off, and then I have some good news and some bad news on this engine. Good news is my intake runners are carboned up like crazy, and my intake is just dumping oil out. Is that, yeah, I guess good news, because I thought that I had to do the valve stem seals. I thought that's where because I was having oil burning issue with this thing. Like, it's not too bad. It maybe consumed like a liter of oil every, really not that bad, 3,000 K. But the main issue was on cold starts, I get a big puff of smoke and it'd go away when the car warmed up. So I thought that it needed valve stem seals, but this proves that it doesn't need valve stem seals because it's leaking before the valve stem seals, like in the intake track. So that's the good news, is that it should be an easier fix. Like I was reading up, there's that valve cover issue where the PCV built into the valve cover gets clogged up. So it seems like that could be the issue in this case. So I guess that's a good news, because valve cover is a lot easier to take off than doing the valve stem seals. And then bad news is it looks like it's burning quite a bit of oil, but regardless, that's besides the point. I'll do that later. I spy my little eye on the problem. The wiring harness where it goes into the plug doesn't, maybe that's normal, maybe that's a shrink fitting on the end of the wire, but that doesn't look like right to me for the wiring harness. And then you can see a bit of moisture in the cap there, and our whole valley filled up with water. Yeah, that's all water in there. So there's a problem. It's a classic water got under the intake manifold and filled that valley and shorted out that knock sensors. Here's a visual just to show you how much water got in there. I'm not, actually, yeah, I'm gonna spray this and then I'll probably soak it up with rags because I don't want to get any water in the intake there, but look at this. Look at all that stagnant water that's just sitting down there. So last check on the knock sensor before I put everything together. I mean, it's pretty obvious with the well filled with water and just how corroded the body is there that the sensor is the issue. But just for fun, I checked the resistance across the bad knock sensor. That was 1,000 ohms. And then I checked the resistance across the other old sensor, and that was 100,000 ohms, which is what we're reading and what it should be. So there's your proof right there that the sensor is the issue. And then just for fun, I checked the resistance across the harness, and the new one and the old one measured about 1 ohm, which is good. There should be a little resistance going across copper wires. So yeah, anyway, there was the issue, was that knock sensor. But obviously I bought the whole kit, so I'm going to replace both sensors, and then I will seal these plugs up so I don't get water in there again. Yeah, both sensors, sealed up harness. Gonna do I'll get the valley pan gasket replaced there, and then we'll get her back together. So yeah, anyway, I got those new seals on, new valley pan gasket, valley pan's cleaned up, it's all torqued up. Got the new knock sensors in there, and then yeah, I just applied a bead of RTV under the lip on that plug, the knock sensor plug, and it looks like it's gonna seal up pretty good. So now we're going to install the intake manifold. I cleaned it up. I have the sealing surface on the heads kind of cleaned up there. I have the new gasket clipped on, but I don't want to bore you guys with the details because you already saw me take it. And just like that, our intake is on and everything is plugged in. So let's clear our lights and start it up and pray that everything works. No engine lights, no intake leaks, all of that fun stuff. She seems to be running pretty good. I don't hear any manifold leaks, no fuel leaks there. It's running nice and smooth. It's not shaking or misfiring. Let's double check our dash. Engine light is not on, so I would consider that fixed. All right, that is my video of cleaning, assessing the damage, fixing the damage on my lovely GMC Yukon after a weekend of abusing it off-road. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.